Bonjour! Aujourd'hui, vous allez prendre des notes sur les pronoms en français. This video is going to go a little bit quick, so feel free to pause it or slow down the audio. First, we're going to start with the pronoun I. This is going to replace a plus a noun referring only to a thing or to an idea. You cannot use the pronoun I to replace a person. For that, you're going to use the indirect object lui, the indirect object pronoun. So the pronoun I is used after prepositions, except for the preposition de en français. So elle va au café, elle y va. We see that often the pronoun I can be translated to the word there in English. And this pronoun is not used with the future or the conditional verb of aller because of reasons of pronunciation. J'irai is hard to say, so they just don't say it. The pronoun un is going to be used to replace the partitive article, and that's the du or de la that we see. So if you want to replace she drinks wine with she drinks some of it, elle boit du vin, elle en boit. The pronoun un is also going to replace other expressions of quantity, whether that's a number, like the number un or une, or something like beaucoup. But when you use the pronoun un to replace these, you still need to include the expression of quantity, except in a negative phrase. The pronoun un is replacing ideas after the preposition de. So she was afraid of the elephant, she was afraid of it. We can replace that whole idea. I want to eat more cheese, I want to. We can use un to replace the whole idea of de manger plus de fromage. And this pronoun can also be used to replace places when we're saying that we either arrived or came from there, if we have that preposition de. This preposition, or this pronoun rather, is very useful in that it can replace an entire idea. So she's happy to no longer have a red car. She's happy about that whole concept. Elle en est contente. But again, this is a pronoun that does not replace people. We next have direct object pronouns, which are laid out here for you, singular and plural forms. And we also have indirect object pronouns. Again, the singular and the plural forms. So a direct object directly receives the action of the verb. There's no preposition between the verb and the direct object. Je vois l'éléphant, je le vois. The direct object pronoun replaces the direct object. The indirect object in a sentence still is receiving the action, but indirectly. In the sentence, il offre un cadeau à ma sœur, the gift is what he's offering. That's the direct object. And my sister is indirectly involved in this because she's being offered the gift. So if you want to replace that with he offers a gift to her, il lui offre un cadeau. And it's always lui for the indirect object pronoun, even though she's female. In the present tense, any of these pronouns we are going to put before the conjugated verb. You can see this in these example sentences below. Doesn't matter if it's a direct or indirect object pronoun. With infinitives, which means that there's a phrase that has two verbs, one that's conjugated and one that's the infinitive, we're going to put the pronouns in between the two verbs, so just before the infinitive, like a little sandwich. The imperative, which is a command form, when we have a negative command, when you're telling somebody not to do something, we're going to put the pronoun before the conjugated verb, just like we were doing with the regular present tense. In the affirmative command, where you want somebody to do something, we're going to attach these pronouns at the end with a little hyphen, like we've seen before. For the passé composé, the pronoun is going to go before the helping verb, the avoir or the être. And with direct object pronouns only, and only in the passé composé, we actually do need to have agreement. So the sentence says, on a gardé ma sœur, on l'a gardé. We see in the second sentence that there's agreement. They add an extra E to show that the la was feminine. But this doesn't happen with the indirect object pronouns, just the direct object pronouns. So pronouns, direct object pronouns, are able to replace people and things. Indirect object pronouns can only replace people. The pronoun le, which is a direct object pronoun, is able to replace abstract ideas. So she thinks that they are strong. She thinks that. She thinks it. Now, there's the possibility to use two pronouns in a sentence. You can never use more than two, but you could use two together. When we have verbs in the present tense, in the negative commands, and in the passé composé, here are the order of the pronouns. So if you ever have, me and Louis in a sentence together, me would go before Louis. And it makes sense when you look at this order. Me, te, ce, nous, vous, these are all reflexive pronouns too. They go together. You've seen them before. Le, la, les are three pronouns, but they all mean the, so we can see why they're matched together. Louis and le are the two indirect. E and then un. Okay, so here are some examples where we have two pronouns and the order that they are used in the sentence. Now, on this page, we're showing you the order for affirmative commands. The order is slightly different, but not very much so. All we're doing is putting the direct object pronouns first, everything else in the middle, and then e and are still at the end. Next, we have accentuated pronouns. Moi, toi, lui. These are ones that you've seen before. Nous, vous. Those are ones that are the same sort of no matter what kind of pronoun they are. But the and L for il and L plural might be ones that are newer to you. So they might use these to add emphasis. Moi, j'adore conduire, just as saying that I really like to drive. I'm talking about myself. This is very common in French. We're going to use these types of pronouns after the preposition a. C'est la voiture de ton père. It's your dad's car. Yes, it belongs to him. We'll use it after expressions like faire attention, pay attention to, and think of. And then we're going to use these pronouns after prepositions like chez. Chez eux means their house. We're going to use them after c'est and ce sont. C'est elle, c'est nous, c'est moi. And you can use it to respond to a question. Whose keys are they? Who has the keys? I do, moi. And of course, we can use these in comparative sentences like we've learned earlier this year. But we're only going to use these after ne, que, and ne, ni. And you can use them in sentences where there are two subjects. So he and I, Louis et moi. And you're going to use it with the word même to say like someone or something is doing something to themselves or them on their own. Right? You must pay the fine yourself. So you need to be the one to do it, or you need to do it for yourself. And there you have it. These are all the pronouns. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. À demain.